Let's go ahead and look at how to multiply integers when they have different signs, same sign, and so forth. So first, let's go ahead and look at the rules. So notice here it says that rule number 1 is when the numbers have the same sign, the answer will be positive. If the signs are different, the numbers have different signs, then the numbers are negative. One thing you have to be careful is how do you know when you are multiplying if you have parentheses. So way down here it says that if you have parentheses, just like this example up here, if there's nothing in between, no plus, no minus, you are multiplying. Or if you have a number next to a parenthesis and there's nothing in between, the 3 and the parentheses in this case, no plus, no minus, you are multiplying the two numbers. So let's try some examples. I have -3 times a +4. The best thing to do is to actually circle the sign so you know what type of signs you have. We are multiplying because remember there's nothing in between the parentheses, so that means multiplication. You can circle the sign of the number, so there's a negative for the 3. 4 doesn't have a sign, but we know that it has an imaginary positive next on the left side, so we have different signs. So when you multiply numbers, integers with different signs, the answer will be negative, and you just multiply the two numbers, which is 12. The answer is -12. You might not have parentheses, like this one here, 9 times -8. So the symbol in the middle tells you what operation you're doing. So this symbol means multiplication. 9 has a positive, remember, sign on the left side. 8 has a negative, so you multiply the two numbers, and when the signs are different, a positive and a negative, the answer is negative, and you multiply the two numbers, which is 72. So -72 is your answer. And this one here, you have 20 times 10. Notice both numbers have the same sign. This one is positive. This one is positive, so 20 times +10, that's going to be 200. If the two numbers are also negative, so let me show you here. Let's say 20 is negative, and you multiply by a -10. The two signs have the same, the two numbers, sorry, have the same sign. So -20, -10. There's nothing in between, so that means multiplication. There's no plus or a minus. So your answer, when you have the same sign, it's positive, and you multiply the numbers. You don't need the plus next to the answer, positive. Everyone knows that if you have a number with no sign, that's considered a positive number. So 200 is correct. You might be multiplying a number with a fraction. The first thing is to check the sign so you know what sign your answer will be. So this is -35 times, and this is a positive fraction, 3/7. I'll put the plus up here so we know that it is a positive 3/7. When you multiply fractions, everything has to be a fraction. So the -35, I'm just going to make it a fraction. I'm going to put 1 under the number. So now it's a fraction. You guys can cross multiply. Notice 7 goes into 35. You simplify, reduce. So 7 goes into 35 5 times. 7 goes into 7 once. Remember, the answer has to be negative because we have different signs. So it will be negative. You're going to multiply the numbers on the top, the 5 and the 3. 5 times 3 is 15. And the number in the bottom, 1 times 1 is 1. In fractions, we don't need that 1 on the bottom, so you can leave it as negative, and then we have 15. You can reduce. -15 divided by 1 is -15. And dividing is the same thing. You just have to look at the signs of the numbers. So number 13, I have example 13 here. 8 is positive, so I'm just going to put a plus next to the 8, so I know this is positive. Divided, there's a sign division, and we have a -2. So 8 positive divided by a -2, different signs, the answer is negative. and you divide, a divided by 2 is 4, but the answer is negative 4. Different signs, it's negative. 14, you also can see division set up this way. You have a fraction. We have negative 24 over negative 6. Notice that we have two negatives. One's on the top and one's on the bottom. Both numbers are negative. So when you divide and you have the same sign, you will have a positive answer. Just like multiplication, same rules, but it's going to be positive. So my answer is positive. 24 divided by 6 is positive 4. We don't need the signs, the positive sign, just the number. So 4 positive is your answer. Let's look at the one down here, 16. We have a negative on the top. We have a positive 3 on the bottom. I'm just going to put the plus so you can see the sign. So there's the positive. Here's the negative. So we are dividing. We're going to follow the same rules as multiplication. When you have different signs, the answer is negative. One positive, one negative. And 12 divided by 3 is 4. So the answer is negative 4. Sometimes the negative is on the bottom. That can happen. 16 in this fraction is positive. 4 is negative. And we still have different signs. So my answer will be negative. 16 divided by 4 is 4. So we have negative 4 as the answer. So as long as in a fraction you have one number negative, that means that the answer will be negative. Now the last one I want to show you is this one here, number 18. You have a negative, but it's not really certain where the negative is, if it's on the top or the bottom number. Common mistake is people think that 18 is negative and 6 is negative. That's not the case. If you guys have a negative next to the fraction, you can move the negative to the top number. So that's going to be negative 8. And the 6, the number on the bottom, stays positive. So only one number is negative. If you guys see, we have a negative 18 and a positive 6. So we have different signs. My answer has to be negative because we have different signs. And you divide the numbers. 18 divided by 6 is 3. So the answer is negative